Jolan Tru, fellow captains and admirals. My name is Jerry, and I'm hailing you from the Antares Shipyard with a very special Captain's Table episode. Today, well, not today, but earlier this week, WizKids announced 3 new faction packs coming out here soon. We're going to take a look at one of them here, kind of break it down and do some speculation. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the Federation faction pack called Lost in the Delta Quadrant. So, what we know about this faction pack. We know that the release date is Q1 of 2024, understanding that can always be pushed back, but I am forever the optimist, and I believe that they will get it out in that quarter. Once we have a more confirmed date, I will do my best to update everybody. Inside of this faction pack, we know that we've got 59 cards coming. And that's 59 numbered cards, so that does not count things like the movement templates and other cards of that sort. So this is just a snippet of the description from the pre-order that is up on WizKids' store for Attack Wing. Explore the unknown Delta Quadrant with the newest Federation faction pack in Star Trek Attack Wing. Add brand new versions of the Intrepid class, Nova class, Aerie class, and the Delta Flyer class to your fleet, captained by Catherine Janeway, Rudolph Ransom, Magnus Hansen, and Tom Paris. Add the crews of the USS Voyager, the USS Equinox to your ships as you try to find your way home through the Delta Quadrant campaign. Equip new weapons and tech such as gravimetric torpedoes and temporal shielding to assure victory. 70,000 light years, it seems a lot closer with a little luck, some coffee, and help from Neelix. Okay, so this just bottom listing is what the contents are from the WizKids website. So we've got 8 double-sided ship cards, 8 captains, 21 crew upgrades, 3 weapon upgrades, 6 tech upgrades, 2 question mark upgrades, 1 Borg upgrade, and 1 ambassador. We've got 1 starship construction card, 2 star chart tokens, 1 evasive maneuver template, and 1 of 2 Delta Quadrant campaign booklets. Alright, the one thing I want to talk about is the 8 double-sided ship cards. So, if you remember back to Ships of the Line, or the new Romulan faction pack that just came out, the ship cards had a named ship on the front, and then a generic ship on the back. So, when they say 8 double-sided ship cards, they don't mean just 4 named ships, 4 generic ships. They mean we've got 8 named ships and 8 generic ships. So we technically have 16 ships coming in this pack. So here are the cards that they previewed on the website. Now this is probably the only look at cards we'll get, as for the past couple past faction packs I haven't done these previews. But you can see there we've got in the bottom right-hand corner of each card, we've got the numbering. So we know which card's number 1, 23, and 54 out of 59. So we've got the USS Voyager, Intrepid class, 4245. Tech weapon, 3 crew. It's coming in at 25 points, which I believe is a reduction. I think the old one was 30, so it might be a 5-point reduction. Action. Increase the ship's agility value by 1 this game round and repair 1 hull or shield on this ship. If there are no friendly ships within range 1 to 2, use this as a free action instead. Ooh, that's cool. That's a great use of that. Definitely the ability itself is very indicative of Voyager getting damaged in one episode and then next week tuning in to find that Voyager's perfectly fine. So I kind of like that. Looks like we're getting a Harry Kim that is a captain. Looks like he's normally skill 3, cost of 2. But then we got this little nice wording here in brackets, which is called Night Shift. Treat your captain, I'm going to say the next word is skill, as a 5. Night Shift, I think, is another card or another mechanic that is coming into the game. I believe in another faction pack they mention of Night Shift tokens, or we just talked about it. I think there's something that's going to be playing with initiative on that. So we will see more when the pack comes out. It says, after you remove an aux power token besides this ship, place an invade token besides this ship. Night Shift. In addition, place a battle station token besides this ship. Okay, cool. So the next card we've got, that is the Astrometrics Lab. No deciphering that there. I'm going to assume it's going to be adding a tech to this ship's upgrade bar. When you perform a scan action, place 3 time tokens. And then it might look like you might be able to do a sensor echo action using the 1 template as a free action even if you're not cloaked. This upgrade costs 2 SP if not equipped to an Intrepid, a Sovereign, or, and I believe that is the Luna class ship logo, which again heavily hints at a Luna class in our near future. So, the speculation. So we know we've got some confirmed cards here just from the reading of the description. We've got USS Voyager, and then on the other side we're going to have the Intrepid class. So that's your card number 1 and 2. We've got the USS Equinox, which means that we're getting a Nova class. We've got the USS Raven, which means we're getting an Aerie class. And then we've got the Delta Flyer. Now they didn't make mention of the Delta Flyer 2, but we've got the Delta Flyer and then the Delta Flyer type shuttle card, the generic, that'll be coming on that. Now, they did mention Catherine Janeway, Rudolph Ransom, Magnus Hansen, Tom Paris. We saw Harry Kim. We saw at the Astrometrics Labs. They also make mention of gravimetric torpedoes and temporal shielding. So, going into the speculation on this, they did make mention of Neelix. And there is, in this pack, 1 ambassador card. Now, if you remember correctly, from Star Trek Voyager, Neelix refers to himself as the ambassador to the Federation of the Delta Quadrant. So if I had to put money down, I'm going to say that Neelix is the ambassador that we're getting in this pack. And with Neelix, we're going to get Kess. That would be my speculation anyway. You can't really have one without the other, especially in those earlier seasons of Voyager. Storylines were heavily centered amongst them. But Kess is underrepresented in this game, as is Neelix. Now, there is some speculation out there. Well, not really speculation. There is, a lot of evidence that the playtesters or the developers really like their beverages when it comes to Attack Wing. Looking at Maridorm Gort Ale, we've got Romulan Ale, and other, Kanar is another one we've got. But what is, I think, is going to be, and this is kind of one of my reaches on this, but I think we might see it, is we're going to get coffee as a card. Because Catherine Janeway made it known throughout the entire series that of her love of coffee, and, the nebula that's filled with coffee. So that makes sense that this might show up in this pack. Now, we know of 4 named ships, which means that we've got another 4 other ships that are going to be coming in this pack that are named. Now, some people might say, well, hey, we've got the USS, we got the other Intrepid class that's in the game already, which is the USS Bellerophon. But I don't think we're going to get a updated version of the Bellerophon because we've got this thing that WizKids is already doing with the other ships where they're trying to make use of the Starship construction cards that they just came out with. So I believe this is where we're going to see a USS Intrepid. We haven't seen one yet. It's not a ship that's been on screen, but that's kind of the cues that I'm getting from the other faction packs. Now, with that said, kind of the same thought going into the Nova class. I think we can see the USS Nova come in and kind of do the same thing the USS Intrepid is doing to allow the, Starship construction cards to be used. Do I think WizKids could pull a fast one on us and give us the USS Rhode Island? Possible, but I believe that would be a mirror faction, and I don't think they're going to do a Federation mirror dual card in this. So it's a possibility that we might get the Rhode Island. I think it's more likely that we'll get the USS Nova. The same thing with the Aerie class. I think we'll probably get a USS Aerie versus another ship. That ship really didn't have that much on-screen time itself. and it's hard pressed to find another one that was on screen. I think you'd have to go to Lower Decks in this most recent season of Lower Decks to find another Aerie class, and even that one was broken down, and I just don't think that's something we're going to see. Now, the Delta Flyer is a little bit easier to predict because you actually have two versions of the Delta Flyer. You had the Delta Flyer and then Delta Flyer 2, which was built after the first one was destroyed by the Borg. So, that one's an easier to predict. And then from there, really, speculation starts to run wild. So you can definitely think of a lot of things. The description mentions the crews of the Voyager and the Equinox. So I think one of the things that I'm going to speculate here, and it's something that I thought about when I was writing the script for this this video, just the brief outline, was that we don't have a Chakotay in the game that's just a crew Chakotay. We've got him as a captain, both on the Independent side and then on the Federation side. Skill 5 captain that came with the original Voyager set. So I think it'll be interesting to see if we get a Chakotay that is a crew member versus a captain version. Same thing, I think Maxwell Burke from the Equinox is another one where we have a captain version, but we don't have a crew version for him. Granted, he mutinied against Ransom and took over the Equinox at the end there, but I think it might be a better crew version. And then, of course, we're getting 2 question mark cards, so I think one of them might be another version of the EMH, and then the other one would be Coffee, because Kanar, Romulan Ale, Maridor and Gorn Ale all fall into that question mark category of cards. So we're definitely getting that. We're getting 2 cards there, so I think that's kind of where those come in. The captains, on the other hand, those are pretty easy to predict. You got Catherine Janeway, Rudolph Ransom. With Magnus Hansen comes his wife, Erin Hansen. So we're going to get that. We might get an Annika Hansen. That would be interesting to get an Annika Hansen pre-assimilation. Who knows? Tech and weapons are, so far out there that I can't, that's stuff hard to speculate on. The crew is a little bit more easier because we have kind of a set of crew that we know. Marla Gilmore, Noah Lessing from the Equinox. Really anybody from the Equinox. You can get anybody. Maybe we'll get a Joe Carey. A Joe Carey card would be kind of cool to have. Get Belana Torres. We got Vorik already. He came in the Vulcan faction pack. Let's see who else. Maybe we'll get another Lon Suitor. Lon Suitor would be interesting. Of course, Tuvox. Maybe we'll get a Tuvix. That's a wild reach. But an interesting one at that. You throw a Tuvix in there. But I think one of the things that I really want to talk about in this speculation is the Delta Quadrant campaign that they mentioned. So there is 2 books in this campaign that, to my understanding. The first book comes in this faction pack, and then another book in the Adversaries of the Delta Quadrant faction pack, which is the other one that was announced. And you need both books to play the complete campaign, from my understanding. So I want to mention the temporal shielding. So I can tell you, and maybe it's a little bit of spoiler for Adversaries of the Delta Quadrant, but we are not going to see any. We're not going to see any Krenim. There's no Krenim time ship in that box. There's no Species 8472 in that box either. So that's not going to happen. But let me go back a couple here. Back to the component list. We do have... Oh, it's not in this one. Okay, no worries. I have a reason to believe that we're going to see more things in token form than we are like actual ship model at the moment. I had played myself kind of played around with the idea of creating a little bit of a Delta Quadrant pack based on Alliance, and a playthrough that way. And one of the ideas that I had come up with was a double-sided Krenim token to kind of represent the shifting in size of that ship. And it's not really the time ship itself; it's the little ship that they encounter that shoots the torpedoes, the Chronotana torpedoes at Voyager, and it really does a lot of damage. So with the temporal shielding, it gives me hope and reason to believe that this campaign is going to encounter those kind of adversaries and those kind of missions where we got to cross this space. Here's an issue. We got to go. I think there's a lot of potential in that campaign, and I'm really excited to see it. So I want to thank you all for watching this video and everything. If you can, please give me a like, give me a subscribe. I'm going to try and get more releases out when I have time. That's the major factor in my day is time to sit down and do some recordings. But I thought it was major that we needed to get these out. We're also having a discussion over in our Discord for the Fremont Reformation. I will put the link for that in the description below. But other than that, in the comment section, please tell me what you think we'll see in this pack. What speculation you have for crew, weapons, tech, anything that's Federation related through the Voyager series. And until then, thank you for watching.